Hello, it's Jenny Lamorgan with Lean Into Green, and I'm excited to be here with my guest today, Erin Switalski. And before I start telling you about why you want to listen to her, I want to tell you a little bit about Lean Into Green in case this is the first time you've listened in. I'm a green entrepreneur and owner of greenwomanstore.com, and I'm always looking for new ways to go a little bit greener. So I've learned so much from these green lifestyle experts that we're interviewing, and I know you're going to be excited about some of these not only new campaigns and directions that we're going in with products and consumerism and manufacturing practices, but you're going to be excited for some of the good news. I think most of it's all been really good news, and sometimes we get a little, discouraged because we think the world's going in the wrong direction. But with these interviews, you'll learn that the world is really going in a really great direction, but it takes our involvement. So I'm going to welcome Erin Switalski, and she is the Executive Director of Women's Voices for the Earth. It's a national organization that works to eliminate toxic chemicals that harm women's health by changing consumer behaviors, corporate practices, and government policies. Their vision and work is for a world in which women and our families and communities live in a healthy environment free from toxic chemicals that adversely impact our health and well-being. Welcome, Erin, and thank you for your amazingly good work on our behalf and on behalf of our families.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
And I receive your newsletters on a regular basis, and I'm so appreciative of your work. Can you tell the listeners about the goals of Women's Voice for the Earth?
Yeah, definitely. So our organization was founded in 1995, so we have been around for, we're pushing 20 years. We actually celebrated our 18th birthday last month, so we were very excited about that. But we have been working to eliminate toxic chemicals that harm women's health. And we've been focusing in a few different areas over the last several years. So we've been looking at chemicals that are found in cleaning products, chemicals that are found in cosmetics and personal care products, chemicals that are found in fragrances, and really trying to educate women about what these chemicals are, what the possible harms are associated with them, and then importantly, how people can get involved and help shape, the new economy, which is really our goal is to help it be made up of products and processes that are safe and healthy for people and the environment.
It's wonderful. And so we need change because of the health impacts and the environmental impacts of these toxins. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about how Women's Voices for the Earth help to make that change happen?
Yeah, well, let me give a little bit of broader background. So I think, right now what we have noticed is that most people think that when you go into the store and you pick a product up off the shelf and you buy it, you assume that it is safe, that somebody has, tested it, the government's regulating it, and that the chemicals that are found in there are going to be safe for your health. And unfortunately, that's not really the case. We have, right now, there is upwards of 80,000 chemicals that are registered for use, for commercial use in the United States. And really only a small fraction of these have actually been tested for their long-term human health impacts. So it's just about 1/10 of these that have actually been tested. And, even of those chemicals that have been tested, a lot of the studies that have been done are really looking at those impacts on adult males. So the routes of exposure and the impacts are going to be very different for women who, for one thing, are capable of bearing children. And we do know that chemicals that are absorbed into the body are actually passed through the placenta to developing children. We also know that little bodies, babies are going to be more susceptible to different levels of chemicals because they're so small and they are developing at such a rapid pace. So the fact that we're really only looking at how chemicals are really impacting grown males shows that we have a lot of catching up to do when it comes to making sure that what we're using is actually safe. So, we know right now we're seeing different health problems on the rise, and we can't explain why all of these things are happening. But a lot of research is suggesting that there's a link between toxic chemical exposure and these rise in health problems. For example, we know that over the last 70 years, breast cancer rates have risen from 1 in 20 to 1 in 8. And it's an astounding statistic. I mean, we probably all know somebody or multiple people who have been affected by breast cancer. We also know that the onset of puberty is happening much earlier. So we're seeing girls enter puberty, as young as 8 years old. And this is concerning, to scientists and to mothers who are watching their daughters become women much earlier than ever before. We're also seeing a rise in infertility. It's far more common than it was 50 years ago. Endometriosis is one of the leading causes of infertility, and that is hugely on the rise. And so we're concerned about what the role of toxic chemicals has in these diseases. And one of the things that we know is that women are frequently exposed to a multitude of toxic chemicals in the home. They're exposed through their personal care products, through cleaning products, and I always like to point out here that, our organization, we've done a lot of work around cleaning products, and it's not because we think that women should be cleaning the home, but the fact is they generally are. Research shows that women still do about 70% of the housework in the average home. And then if you look at institutional cleaning, so the maids, housekeeping cleaners in hotels, that number is, there's about 97% of those cleaners are actually women. So it's a huge, it's hugely important that we understand what those chemicals are in cleaning products and how those chemicals might impact women's health. So that's one of the areas we've really been focusing on, is trying to make cleaning products safer.
And you've been really effective, because I get the newsletters, so I get the good news, as well as I'm able to put my voice in the campaign. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So in addition to the to chemicals affecting women in the way that they do, is there any other reason why you've focused on a women's organization? I know maybe our consumer power, our interest in these issues.
Absolutely. We know from, research that women typically are more likely to care about the environment, regardless of what their political party affiliation is. And I think, we see that anecdotally in the work that we do. And one of the ways that, we've always really worked as an organization is connecting health and the environment. We know that women, they still tend to be the primary caretakers in the families. They're still making the majority of the medical decisions. We know they're making about 85% of the purchasing decisions, buying their household products. So they're making all of these really important decisions in the household, and they also tend to be more involved at the community level. So they may be involved in their in a PTA, the Parent Teachers Association. They may be involved in their church locally. They may be involved in social clubs locally. But all of that has lent itself to really women caring about health and the environment simultaneously, and really wanting to get involved to figure out how we can change this monumental problem that we have. And so that's been, it's really exciting to see that. And for our organization, that's where we've focused our energies, is taking this interest that women have and this, natural caring for the environment and their communities and their families, and funneling that into really a powerful network of advocates that are actually having a huge influence on major corporations. To give you an example, we recently had a great win where we convinced Procter & Gamble, the makers of Tide, to reformulate their Tide laundry detergent. And this was hugely successful because of the women that were involved. And really what we did is we used the power of social media and women's voices to push the company to agree to reformulate their product to take out a carcinogen, 1,4-dioxane, which we found through some product testing in their Tide laundry detergent. And so we basically took a couple of we took some photos. We took some babies and put them in a laundry basket with a bottle of laundry detergent. It was the Tide Free and Gentle, which, as you know or may know, it sounds like it even. You would choose that laundry detergent because it sounds healthy and safe for your babies, and that's really how Tide was marketing it. They were really marketing this to moms as a safe and healthy choice. And when we did product testing, we found this 1,4-dioxane in the product, which is a known carcinogen in the state of California. And so we put some captions with some photos of babies sitting in a laundry basket with this bottle of Tide laundry detergent, and the babies were saying, OMG, there's a cancer-causing chemical in my Tide. And this image just really went viral, and very quickly, over 4,000 women had posted this image on Tide's Facebook page, and then upwards of almost 80,000 people signed a petition to Procter & Gamble, telling them that they wanted them to reformulate the product. And within a matter of months, they agreed to do that, and their product should be. They agreed that all the product on the shelves by September 30th should be reformulated. So that's a huge, huge win, and a real testament to the power of what we can do when we all bind together and take a stand on an issue that we really care about.
And that's something that, as individuals, we can't really test these products for the chemicals that aren't listed on the labels, but you're actually doing testing of the products to find these chemicals.
We have done some testing because, one of the other surprising things is that cleaning products, there is no law that requires companies to disclose the ingredients in cleaning products. So since we started our work on cleaning products in 2007, and that's been a major push for us, is getting the industry to actually disclose the ingredients they're using. And it's actually pretty amazing to see how much information they now disclose versus what they were doing in 2007. You could find virtually no information. And now most major companies are disclosing all of their ingredients except for what is contained in their fragrances. And that's a whole other issue that we're working on, is really trying to unpack what's in those fragrances. But yeah, you can't, as a consumer, you can't, it's really hard to know what's in the cleaning products. Even if they are disclosing, you're not going to find it on a product label typically. They will often disclose it on their website, which isn't very helpful if you're in the store trying to, figure out what you want to buy and avoid anything in particular. But there are a few companies that are disclosing their ingredients on the label. Seventh Generation is one of them. They've been, really committed to full transparency, and so they've been disclosing their ingredients on the label. And they're actually disclosing their fragrance ingredients as well, and that's one of the only companies that is doing that. And when I talk about the fragrance ingredients, we see fragrance listed on labels, like particularly with cosmetics, But what people may not realize is that a fragrance can actually, it can contain up to 100 chemicals or even more that actually make up what that particular fragrance is. And all of that is protected as trade secrets right now. But unfortunately, we've gone in and we've tested some of those fragrances, and we found ingredients that are really concerning. So, one of the things that we found is some synthetic musks. And these synthetic musks are, they're chemicals that have been linked to hormone disruption. They've also been linked to actually breaking down the body's ability to defend off, other toxic exposures, which is kind of a scary thought, that this chemical could actually make us more susceptible to other toxic chemical exposures. And they've also been linked to increased risk of breast cancer. So these are the kinds of chemicals that, we find in fragrances, and at this point it's really hard to know whether or not a product you're using with a fragrance has those in there.
So we're really, we're aware of the chemicals and the dangers of these fragrances to our neurotransmitters. I think, we've learned a lot about how the fragrances affect our brain, and even we can experience it personally with brain confusion and that kind of thing after somebody walks by with one of these fragrances. Or even, just walking down the aisle of the laundry detergents in the store can just expose you, tremendously. So, and I think, with the little kids in the carts and all of that, and they're so much more susceptible to it. So I think that, we're becoming more aware, but as consumers too, it's all about education, So it starts with being educated about it, then, looking for alternatives on the shelves. And I think that you do an amazing job of educating us, about what's out there and the issues. Education, I think, is kind of a foundation for you, as well as the campaigns.
Absolutely. And, we have resources on our website that are resources that tens of thousands of people are clicking on, downloading, which I think are really helpful. So we've got one fact sheet that we call, our top 10 tips for reducing toxic exposure, which just gives some real simple things that you can do in your home to try to reduce your toxics load immediately. And I usually try to tell people to commit to, one or two things that they want to start doing right away, because this kind of information can be really overwhelming, and you can start to look at it and think, oh my gosh, I can't even live in my house anymore. It's so toxic. And it's ubiquitous in our daily lives. We're going to encounter things that may contain toxic chemicals, but it doesn't mean that we can't live a normal life. So we have some really great tips, I think, that help people understand ways that they can reduce their exposure right away. Simple things even like taking your shoes off at the door before you enter the house, because then you are not going to be tracking in chemicals off the asphalt into your home. Things like, trying to start replacing your plastic Tupperware containers with glass ones. Instead of storing food in those plastic containers, which, contain chemicals that are slowly going to be breaking down and could potentially end up in your bodies, replacing those things. Never microwaving in plastic, those kinds of things. We, at this point, we tell people to ditch the air fresheners altogether, because we really have no idea what sort of toxic spray that is at this point. There's no disclosure on that, because the whole thing is basically fragrance. And it's interesting, even if you read the labels on some of those air fresheners, they even actually recommend that, you not spray in rooms where you might have small birds, or, don't spray around small children. And it seems like with that kind of warning, it probably would be healthy for everyone in the household to avoid the spray altogether. So we have some really great tips like that, as well as recipes for making your own safe cleaning products with basic things like vinegar and baking soda. I know that's pretty much all I clean my house with. And we don't need to disinfect everything all the time. I think that's really just a product of marketing, where we have become kind of a germaphobe society, but really there's a lot of good germs that we need to be healthy. And when we constantly disinfect everything all the time, we're killing the good germs as well as the bad germs. So we actually recommend that you don't use an all-purpose spray that's also a disinfectant all the time. That's just not, it's just overkill. Our director of science and research always uses this great analogy where she says, we basically are using a sledgehammer when we need a fly swatter. And why not just clean with vinegar and water, with soap and water, because that's really just as effective. So we have some great tips like that, as well as lots of resources for people that are, that really like to dig in. We have a whole slew of scientific issue reports that we put out. So lots of information about the different chemicals that are found in these products, and really easy to read reports, where we've actually gone out and we've really rounded up all the peer-reviewed research out there and distilled it down into a readable format for anyone that's interested.
Very
Those are
nice.
some of the resources, yeah.
There's so many resources on your website. I really enjoyed the videos. You have how-to videos for making cleaners and scrubs and laundry detergents and furniture polishes and your green cleaning party packets, and you've got green mama parties, and you've got recipes for grapefruit sugar scrubs for moms, and non-toxic repellents, and reusable diaper wipes. All of this. It's the how-to videos, I think, really help us get started.
Yeah, absolutely. They're great. And, I encourage anyone who's interested to host a green cleaning party or a green mama party. But they're really fun, and it's a great way to really bring your friends together and, try making some products without, feeling overwhelmed. And it just really helps you realize how easy it is. And it's just fun to do it together and learn with your friends while you're doing it. So those have been, the green cleaning parties have been hugely successful. I mean, we've had, if I can even remember now, that thousands and thousands of those have been hosted. I think it's over 8,000 have been hosted across the country because people just love them. They're so much fun to do.
And I think it saves us so much money. We spend a lot of money every month on our cleaning products, and these recipes are made with really inexpensive products, and then you've got them in your cupboard to make the next batch. And it's economical, environmental, and benefits your health and your family's health. So thank you so much for taking the time to do the how-to videos. I think they're really helpful.
Yeah, good.
And the recipes. We're always looking for good recipes. So, effort on your website, the roadmap to a toxic-free future, and you've got 4 different programs in there, and it's important. So, let's talk about each one. And you've already talked a little bit about the safe cleaning products. This program involves putting pressure on manufacturers to disclose all the ingredients, as well as removing the carcinogens from the products. So how can we get involved in the campaign?
Yeah, well,
to put pressure on the manufacturers.
The best way to do that is to come to our website and sign up for our email updates. So right on our homepage, which is womensvoices.org, you can just sign up to get the email updates. And from there, we send out regular updates about actions that people can take. So we run various campaigns. Like, for example, right now we're urging S.C. Johnson & Son, who makes Glade air freshener, to disclose the ingredients in their air fresheners. And so we have an action alert on the home page that has people sign an email that will go directly to their CEO, asking them to commit to disclosing those ingredients. And so we are constantly working on these, different action alerts and talking with companies. And the more people that are involved and sending emails, the more quickly we get responses from companies. So we just put together a video that is a sort of a spoof commercial, basically making fun of this company because they had a whole commercial where they're really touting their transparency and their commitment to transparency, yet they are not actually disclosing their ingredients in the fragrance. And so we were asking the company to do that. And, we put together this commercial, and we've had thousands and thousands of people watch it, which then after that release resulted in, in just 2 days, the company calling us to say, okay, let's talk. Let's figure out how we're going to move forward on this. And so it really has an impact. So we're in those conversations now. And we keep up the pressure until we get the commitments that we're looking for. And this has resulted in, real changes. Real changes that also, they don't impact just one product or company, because these companies really compete with each other, and they want to be leaders in the industry. And so it really has a domino effect across the industry too, and we're able to get a major change from one of the larger companies.
Well, thanks for pushing that first domino. I think I did see that on your website. It's quite clever, and it speaks the truth and lets us have a little humor here, but it really makes the point. So you do such a great job, and I think that this is the same kind of thing that you do with the Secret Sense campaign. And,
yep.
Okay, so it's all connected, isn't it?
It's all connected. I mean, we deliberately make our campaigns interconnect so that the work of each campaign supports every other campaign, really. We're a small staff with a really large and engaged action network, and that's how we can move all of these programs forward. So they've got to connect.
And that's us. That's us here.
Exactly.
All right. So, and you also have a Safe and Healthy Salon campaign.
Yeah.
Tell us about the salon workers and how they have a greater exposure rate, and what you're doing to protect them. I've long wished for some support for the salon workers, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I think, anyone that has gone in to get their nails done knows that smell when you walk into a salon. And, whether you're sensitive or not, I think we notice those overwhelming smells. And that's really the mixture of all the different chemicals that are being used in those salons. And I know for myself, I have a little bit of a hard time really even going into a salon that does particularly nails at all. But the salon workers are working most of them are working 6 days a week, 8+ hours a day. When you look across the spectrum of the United States, most salon workers are women of color. 90% of the industry is made up of women. I think it's about nearly 40% are Asian women, and for a lot of them, English is their second language. And so you've got all of these barriers, but the salon industry has really been a great way for people to come in and find work and be able to make a living in this country. And the salon workers are really exposed to a number of chemicals all day, every day, and are reporting really bad health effects from it, to the point where women are actually scared to go to work pregnant because they're having so many miscarriages.
Oh,
this is just from doing their jobs, exactly. So we have partnered up with some great organizations. One is the California Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative, and they do a lot of work directly on the ground with nail salon workers in California. And, they have gone around salon to salon and really met with workers and understood what their health problems are, and have really worked to try to figure out how they could raise some attention for these nail salon workers. And so we partnered up to really further this work nationally. And what we've done is actually formed with various agencies, with various federal agencies, we've formed an interagency working group on safe salons. So this includes the EPA, it includes the Food and Drug Administration, it includes OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and a few other agencies. And what we're doing is really trying to figure out how those agencies can use their existing power to make salons safer and healthier for the workers. And a key piece of that is cleaning up the products that they're using in the first place. And so what's been really exciting about this is getting to know the salon workers and working with them directly and actually getting them involved in their in advocacy for themselves. So we've actually we've held a couple of days of action in Washington, D.C., and we've flown salon workers out, and we've actually gone and met with different congressional offices to advocate for the Safe Cosmetics Act, which is a bill that would require chemicals to be tested for safety before they're put in cosmetics and salon products. And this was, this has been hugely empowering for the workers and also incredibly effective at gaining new co-sponsors on the bill. So as a result of our visits last time, we gained 5 new co-sponsors for the Safe Cosmetics legislation. So that's been really exciting.
And we know there's safer products. The nail polish companies market different to the European Union than they market for us and the products that they offer us. They're just not allowed, or consumers won't buy them. So we know there's better products out there that are safer for all of us.
Absolutely. I mean, in the European Union, they have tougher regulations. So they have banned something like, I think it's 1,100 chemicals for use in cosmetics in the EU, and we've only, restricted, I think, 10. So there's a drastic difference. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have some models to go by here.
Exactly.
Very nice, very nice. Now, the last part of this program, of the Roadmap to a Toxic-Free Future, is the Safe Feminine Care Products, where your work has significantly raised awareness on the taboo issue of toxic chemicals in feminine care products. This is multi-generational benefits here. So tell us about this. This is really important work.
Absolutely. This is a program that we are just developing, and our goal is to actually launch the program and a campaign at the end of this year. So what we're doing right now is, we've had members asking for years about what is in their tampons and pads and what's in those feminine washes and wipes and sprays, and there's a whole bunch of products that fall in this category. And so we've started to do research and realized that first of all, there's for tampons and pads, there's no requirement that the ingredients are disclosed. So again, we're not sure what's in those products, and a lot of them are fragranced as well. So we have the same concerns about what ingredients might be found in those fragrance products. And then the other products, the feminine sprays and washes and wipes, we've done some initial scanning of the ingredient lists for the ingredients they are required to disclose, and there's some pretty egregious stuff in there. And, women are using these products in a very sensitive location where we're really susceptible to high exposure. So, they're basically, I think a piece of our research even showed that exposure rates for the mucous membranes in your vagina they're really exposing you at rates higher than oral exposure. And so, we're really looking at a very, very sensitive area, and unfortunately there hasn't been enough research on this. So nobody's raised the issue enough that the FDA is really taking a hard look at this and making sure that those products are safe for use. And some of these products, they fall under, they're considered cosmetics, even though they're really being used more so than just applying to an outer layer of skin. So we're really taking a look at this, and right now we're rounding up all the research, and we'll be putting this into a new report and launching that information at the end of this year. And our first task is to, again, gain some ingredient disclosure around this and start talking about this. This conversation needs to start right now. And we really see this as an opportunity to engage. Like you said, it's multi-generational, and for us, it's really exciting to think about all of the really young women out there, girls in middle school and younger even now, who are starting to get their periods. And what if we can reach these women at such a young age and engage them on this information, and not only will they be interested and care about what's in their feminine care products, but really start thinking about these issues more broadly and start thinking about their environment and the connections to health in the environment, and hopefully become strong advocates for life. So for us, that's one of the most exciting things about this work.
And so if we sign up for your newsletter now, we'll be able to get in on that campaign and
Yep.
make our voices heard.
Absolutely. You'll be the first to hear when we get that report out and really start asking companies to make the safer products. Because, our bottom line is that we should be able to just go to the store, buy what we want. We shouldn't have to be chemists. We shouldn't be trying to figure all this out. We should know that that products are safe and healthy for everyone to use, and they should be available no matter where you live or how much money you have.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think we're moving in that direction, certainly. Now, you have information on your website about many of the products that are marketed to women of color, the hair relaxers and the dyes and the skin lighteners, and how they contain cancer-causing agents and how their exposure is so much more than a lot of us, and their burden of chronic disease is also higher, considering their neighborhoods being a lot of times, in close proximity to hazardous waste facilities and toxic emissions from factories and that kind of thing. It kind of gives a double whammy. So I really appreciate the education that you're doing and the campaigns that you're doing in the area of women of color as well.
Absolutely. It's critical because, unfortunately, women of color really are bearing a greater burden of the diseases. And it is due to a multitude of factors. But again, we feel like this is an area that has been underrepresented in this work. And so that's where we really we really rely on the partnerships that we have and working with women of color-led groups across the country to help disseminate this important information and get these messages out.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, let's finish up with you telling us more about the unique role of women as advocates for change and how we can get involved with Women's Voices for the Earth.
Yeah, well, I think that really what we do is we're trying to reach women where they're at with this information, and we know that once women have this information in their hands, they'll be excited to take action. And so we'd like for women to sign up, get involved through our newsletter. You can find us on Facebook as well. We have a really active Facebook page, and that's a fun way for people to connect with each other as well. We also offer what are called our body and soul chats. So these are online talks, webinars where we bring on guest experts to talk about a variety of issues, and you join in via webinar and even have an opportunity to ask questions. And we have one coming up in the next couple of months, and to get the date on that, with Fran Drescher, who you might remember from The Nanny. It's actually August 27th, and she's going to be our guest expert. She has a partner organization called Cancer Schmancer, and it'll be really fun to get a chance to listen to her and meet her. And so information's on our website about how to join that webinar. And then we just always have different opportunities. We have book clubs that people can engage in where we recommend great reading, and then we bring on authors to talk about the book, again in a webinar format. So we are really looking for ways to build connections and also rely on the expertise of all the women who are involved in our work. We have our Actionista network, so if you get really excited about the work, you can join our team of Actionistas, where you basically become kind of an ambassador and help spread the word about our work to all of your networks via social media or green cleaning parties or any other forum that you choose. So those are some of the ways, and we hope that some of you will learn more today and sign up on our website.
And we have links for you, womensvoices.org, where you can sign up for the newsletter, and that will, of course, lead you all to the green cleaning parties. We have a link for that, and the green mama parties. There's videos and recipes. Also, we have a link for the campaign page where you can get involved, and Women's Voices for the Earth is a 501c3, so we have a place where you can donate to all this good work as well. So thank you very much, Erin Switalski from Women's Voices for the Earth. Amazingly good work. We're all going to sign up for your newsletter and get involved.
Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it so much, and thank you for your work at Lean Into Green as well.
Thank you very much. All right, so going green is a personal journey, and it's a collective one. And you may want to invite your family and friends to listen in as well. Our experts provide a wealth of information as well as tips and tools for going green. I hope you'll take the time to make leaning into green a priority in your life, and I hope we've inspired you today to go green in many new and inspiring ways. Keep listening as we all lean into green a little deeper on our collective quest toward sustainability. Bye for now.